the mirror that shapes your destiny. There is a moment every morning that most people dismiss. A moment that decides more about your life than motivation, goals, or discipline ever could. It is the moment you stand before the mirror, not to fix your hair, not to check your clothes, not to inspect your face, but to witness the truth, who you have become and who you are becoming. The mirror is not glass. The mirror is a verdict. Because every morning, whether you notice it or not, your reflection sends a message to your mind. This is who we are today. This is what we deserve. This is how we will move through the world. When your outer presence aligns with your inner identity, confidence rises, clarity sharpens, and energy returns. But when what you see in the mirror contradicts the person you believe yourself to be, your mind interprets that mismatch as danger. Cortisol rises. Your nervous system tightens. Your sense of self begins to fracture. Not because you are weak, but because you are living out of alignment with your own standard. The mirror becomes a battlefield, a negotiation between the life you want and the identity you've been choosing. Most people avoid mirrors, not out of apathy, but out of pain. Because the version they see staring back at them is not the one they once imagined. And yet, this is the exact moment where destinies are rewritten. Because if the mirror shapes your mindset, and your mindset shapes your decisions, and your decisions shape your life, is less than #0. 5# is greater than, then everything begins with what you see in that reflection. This is not about vanity. This is not about perfection. This is about alignment. About becoming the person your future requires you to be. So ask yourself, when you look in the mirror each morning, do you see the beginning of your becoming or the evidence of your neglect? Because the truth is simple. Your reflection is not reflecting your life. Your life is reflecting your reflection. Chapter 1. The Alignment Principle. There is a truth that lives inside every human being, a truth you feel long before you understand it. It's the reason some days you feel unstoppable, and other days you feel like a stranger in your own life. That truth is alignment. Alignment is the moment your inner identity and your outer presence tell the same story. Not the story you post, not the story you sell, not the story you recite to feel better, but the story your reflection confirms. Because whether you want to admit it or not, your mirror is the only place you cannot hide from yourself. Every morning, your reflection whispers one of two messages. You are becoming who you said you'd be, or you are abandoning who you were meant to become. And your entire day unfolds from that message. When your reflection aligns with your identity, you feel it instantly. Your chest opens, your breathing steadies, your presence sharpens. You walk differently, you speak differently, you choose differently. Because aligned people do not chase momentum, they create it. But misalignment is just as powerful. When you look in the mirror and see a version of yourself that contradicts your internal standard, your spirit contracts. Your confidence dims, your decisions weaken, your identity begins to fracture. Not because something is wrong with you, but because something is missing from you. Your reflection no longer represents the person your soul still expects you to be. This is why people feel lost. not because life changed, but because they changed, in ways the mirror can no longer defend. You know this feeling. Everyone does. That quiet discomfort when the person staring back at you looks like someone who stopped trying, stopped becoming, stopped honoring their own potential. Misalignment is a spiritual malfunction, a fracture between who you are and who you promised yourself you would become. And the mirror exposes that fracture before anything else in your life does. Your job, your relationships, your habits, your goals, all of them eventually mirror the exact story your reflection tells. You cannot rise into a life your identity no longer recognizes. You cannot hold a standard externally that you've abandoned internally. And most importantly, you cannot build a future while carrying a reflection that belongs to your past. This is why your mirror matters, more than your morning routine, your motivation, or your discipline. Because the greatest source of human power is identity alignment. The moment your inner truth and your outer reflection speak the same language, your life accelerates. But when they contradict each other, you will feel resistance in everything you touch. The mirror reveals your starting point. Your decisions reveal your direction. And Chapter 2 reveals why your reflection doesn't just change your attitude, it changes your biology. Chapter 2. The chemistry of self-perception. Every time you stand in front of the mirror, something profound happens inside you, something most people never recognize. Your brain reacts before your thoughts do. Your chemistry shifts before your mood does. Your body decides before your intentions even begin. Because your reflection is not just a visual experience, it is a biological event. Your mind has one question every morning. Are we aligned or are we drifting? If your reflection feels strong, intentional, and congruent with the person you are becoming, your brain responds with clarity. Dopamine rises, serotonin stabilizes. Your prefrontal cortex lights up, the part of your mind responsible for focus, discipline, and direction. This is why some mornings you feel powerful without explanation. Your chemistry agrees with your identity. But when you look in the mirror and see a version of yourself you no longer identify with, a version that feels neglected, disconnected, or abandoned, is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Your brain triggers cortisol. Your nervous system enters defense mode. Your energy collapses before your day even begins. Not because you are weak, but because your biology was built to protect your identity. The body cannot sustain confidence when the reflection contradicts the truth within you. Your energy is not random. Your mood is not accidental. Your motivation is not mysterious. They all begin with the conversation between you and your reflection. This is why grooming, posture, presence, and small acts of self-respect matter more than people admit. Because your brain is always negotiating with what it sees. If it sees discipline, it releases strength. If it sees neglect, it releases doubt. The mirror is not judging you, it is calibrating you. It is measuring whether your actions match your identity or betray it. And the human spirit has a simple rule. It cannot thrive in an identity it does not believe. This is why people lose energy without knowing why. They think their job is draining them, their goals are overwhelming them, or their life is pressuring them. But in truth, their biology is collapsing under the weight of misalignment. Because the moment your reflection stops representing who you are, your nervous system stops trusting you. You become unpredictable to your own mind. And when your mind cannot predict you, it cannot empower you. This is why transformation feels impossible. To some people, is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Their biology is resisting the identity they abandoned. But here is the good news, and the reason this chapter matters. Your biology follows your behavior. Change the reflection, and you change the chemistry. Change the chemistry, and you change the possibilities. This is why the smallest acts, fixing your posture, selecting your clothes with intention, washing your face, moving your body, showing up as if you matter, shift your entire internal state. Because every act of self-respect tells your brain, we are aligned again. And once your chemistry returns to alignment, your confidence becomes accessible, your discipline becomes natural, and your transformation becomes inevitable. But alignment begins with truth, and truth begins with facing the gap. Which is why Chapter 3 is where everything gets uncomfortable and everything begins to change. Chapter 3: Facing the Identity Gap. There comes a point in every human life where the mirror stops reflecting your appearance and begins reflecting your truth. Not the truth you show the world, not the truth you hide in your past, but the truth you avoid in yourself. This is the identity gap, the space between who you are and who you were meant to become. And nothing exposes that gap faster, sharper, or more painfully than your reflection. Because the mirror is honest in a way that life rarely is. It doesn't flatter, it doesn't negotiate, it doesn't protect your feelings. It reveals the distance between your reality and your potential. And that distance is where your deepest discomfort lives. Most people think they fear failure. They don't. Most people think they fear judgment. They don't. People fear the mirror because it shows them a version of themselves they can no longer justify. A version built from delays, compromises, half-efforts, broken promises to themselves. A version created not by intention, but by neglect. And yet, that uncomfortable moment of recognition is the beginning of transformation. Because nothing can change until something is confronted. Most people fight their symptoms, their lack of energy, their low confidence, their disappearing discipline. But symptoms are not the root. Symptoms are smoke. The fire is identity. And the mirror forces you to face what you have allowed yourself to become. Not to shame you, but to wake you. Because you cannot step into a higher life while carrying a version of yourself that was never meant to survive your future. This is why alignment feels spiritual, because identity is not a surface, it is a frequency. Your reflection is not just showing your appearance, it is showing the level of consciousness you are currently living in. If you see someone dull, your spirit feels trapped. If you see someone neglected, your mind feels unsafe. If you see someone hiding, your destiny feels distant. But when you begin to close the gap, even slightly, something extraordinary happens. your reflection begins to soften, your energy begins to rise, your identity begins to return. Because the human soul responds instantly to even the smallest act of self-honoring. Fix your posture and your confidence shifts. Clean your space and your mind clears. Choose your clothes with intention and your identity recalibrates. These are not aesthetic changes. These are spiritual corrections. They shrink the identity gap and bring you back into alignment with the person you still have the potential to become. The truth is this: most people don't fail because they lack discipline. They fail because they never confronted the version of themselves that is holding the discipline hostage. The mirror shows you that version, whether you want to see it or not. But facing the truth is what frees you. And Chapter 4 is where liberation begins. Chapter 4: Becoming the person you see. There is a moment in every transformation where reflection must turn into action, where seeing the truth is no longer enough. Because clarity without movement is just another form of hesitation. The mirror can show you who you are. It can reveal the gap. It can expose your truth. But only you can close the distance between your reflection and your potential. This is where becoming begins. Not in grand decisions, not in dramatic changes, not in overwhelming reinventions. Becoming begins in small, consistent acts of self-respect. Because identity is not built in a moment, identity is built in repetition. And the body learns faster than the mind. When you adjust your posture, you signal strength. When you choose clothes with intention, you activate purpose. When you move your body, you generate identity, energy, the energy that makes you feel like someone worthy of their future. These are not aesthetic choices. These are identity rituals. The world will tell you that appearance doesn't matter, but your nervous system disagrees. Because your reflection is the first story your brain receives each morning. If the story is "I care," your biology supports your ambition. If the story is "I neglect," your biology collapses into hesitation. You do not rise because of discipline alone. You rise because your identity begins to match the person your future requires you to be. This is becoming. Not perfection, not pretending, not performance, but calibration. Calibrating your behavior to match your potential. Calibrating your choices to match your standards. Calibrating your reflection to match your destiny. Every time you elevate your appearance, you elevate your consciousness. Every time you raise your standard, you raise your identity. And every time you see even a small improvement in the mirror, your mind begins to trust you again. Trust is the fuel of transformation. Trust is what makes discipline sustainable. Trust is what makes change permanent. Because once your mind trusts you, your future begins to trust you. But becoming requires one more shift, a shift most people never make. You must stop treating your reflection as a reminder of who you were and start treating it as a rehearsal for who you're becoming. Stand in front of the mirror as if you are meeting the future version of yourself, the version that endured, that grew, that expanded, that refused to abandon their potential. And then ask the only question that matters. What would this version of me do today? and then do that. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when everything in your life aligns. Becoming begins the moment your actions align with your identity, not the identity you have, but the identity you are building. And once that alignment is activated, the mirror stops being a reminder of yesterday and becomes a portal into your future. Because the moment you start behaving like the person you want to become, your life begins reorganizing itself to match that version of you. This is the power of becoming. This is the death of misalignment. This is the beginning of your next self. And the conclusion is where everything comes together. What have we learned? You are not shaped by your circumstances as much as you are shaped by the story your reflection tells you each morning. Your mirror is not glass. Your mirror is a compass. It shows you where you are aligned and where you are drifting. It reveals the standard you have kept and the standard you have abandoned. And it never lies to you. You learn that alignment is not a luxury. It is the foundation of confidence, clarity, energy, and identity. You learn that your chemistry responds to your reflection, that your biology rises when your standards rise, and collapses when you stop honoring yourself. You learn that the identity gap, the space between who you are and who you were meant to become, is not your enemy. It is your invitation. An invitation to return to your potential, to rebuild your truth, to reclaim your self-respect. And you learned the most important truth of all. Your reflection does not follow your life. Your life follows your reflection. Every small act of self-respect shifts your identity. Every elevation in your appearance elevates your consciousness. Every decision to show up with intention reshapes your future. You do not become powerful by waiting for the right moment. You become powerful by aligning who you are with who you are becoming, starting today. Thank you for watching. If this message reached you, share it with someone who needs to remember the power of their own reflection. Rise with intention, act with clarity, live with identity. Your future begins in the mirror, and the mirror is waiting.